on? Why you're not working?
We didn't do a normal service, so it was
Did they take?
I don't know if it's the tape that we recorded it, but
My name is Charles Harrell with the Veterans History Project. I'm here with Mr. Robert Brewington Settle, called B, near Amosville, Virginia. Mr. Settle, could you, for the record, state your full name?
Robert Brewington Settle, S-E-T-T-L-E,
And what did they call you?
B Settle.
Did they call you B Settle when you were growing up too?
The people that knew me at home did, but the people in school called me Robert.
Is your current address 459 Viewtown Road, Amosville, Virginia?
When I went to school, my current address was just Robert Settle.
20106.
Yeah.
Where were you born?
I was born in Rappahannock County, up near Rock Mills, Virginia.
And when were you born? What day?
October the 19th, 1922.
What branch of service were you in during World War II?
Anti-aircraft.
Was it 155th Airborne
Yeah.
Anti-Aircraft Battalion
That's right.
in the U.S. Army?
That's right.
What was your highest rank you achieved?
PFC.
Did you get enlisted or drafted?
I got drafted.
Was that on July 4th, 1944?
About that time, I tried to forget it all.
Did they release you on July 4th, 1946?
After in 2 years, I got out.
Did you serve in any other war besides World War II?
No,
Where were you stationed during World War II? Was it in Europe?
Fort McClellan, Alabama, and then I went up to. Then I went overseas to England for a few weeks, and then on to Belgium Border. The Belgium Border was flourishing at the time I come through.
I'd like to go back before we get involved with what happened in the war and talk about you growing up.
Yeah.
You were born in 1922 to two parents. What were their names?
Eliza and Robert John.
Settle?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about your father?
Yeah, he was a farmer and never did nothing but farming. And he'll crack your butt if you made him mad.
Was he a strict disciplinarian?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Did you grow up on a farm then?
Yeah, I grew up right down across the road, yeah.
What type of farming did he do?
He did the same thing that I did, beef cattle mostly. That's the reason I got deferred for 1 year because I worked in the aircraft factory. That's the reason I didn't go in very early.
Where did you work in an aircraft factory?
Van Martin, Baltimore.
Well, back in the 1930s, what is the earliest memory that you have growing up?
Oh, kind of raised in poverty. While I was about 10 cents a week.
What was the first paying job that you had?
When it came to the department store in Washington, D.C., I had uncles and aunts down there. I used to go down and stay with them and work in the warehouse for a Kansas department store.
This was before the war.
Yeah,
Tell me about your mother. What's her name?
Eliza. Well, she was a farmer's wife. About all I can tell you, she knew how to can and cook. That's where she kept us alive, I guess.
Did they both grow up around here also?
They grew up in well, my mother did in Rappahannock, and my father grew up in Culpeper County, next county down.
Were you close to your grandparents at all?
Oh yeah, I see them every 2 or 3 weeks. We was only, from where we live here and where they lived, my grandparents was only about 6, 8 miles. There's a place down here called Agwensville.
What were their names, your grandparents?
Broader settled. And his wife, my grandmother was named Prudy. I never heard of a name like that before, but after all, there wasn't a whole lot of names to be had at that time.
I know you were really young, but do you recall when the stock market crashed in
Yeah, I
1929?
remember. And the soup line, they had soup lines, and people rushed in to get a little bowl of soup. That's about all they could get. You couldn't get any jobs.
Did your dad lose part of his farm during the Great Depression?
No, and he bought a farm in 1929, and he would have lost it financially, but my mother's father had a little money, and he cashed in on that and kept the old farm together.
Did your mother's father, did they visit your farm when you were growing up?
Oh yeah, they come around. They didn't give you anything. They didn't have nothing to give. And I think when he died, they had a sale and he had more than $1,200 auction sale.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
I had one brother, three brothers altogether, and they were younger. They were coming along in the 40s and 50s. One of them come along in the latter part of about 1940. He died. Well, he had a heart attack about 4 or 5 years ago.
So you're the firstborn.
No, I got a sister older than me.
Was your father in the First War?
No, I had an uncle in the First War.
Did he ever tell you or talk about the war to you?
No, he didn't see any combat. And he went over to France and stayed a few months and then come on back.
Growing up as a really young boy, did you go fishing a lot or hunting?
I didn't like fishing, but I would have, if I had the opportunity, I would have probably got into it. But his church over here, I was born and raised right close to his church, Gourdvine.
Did you go to that church as a kid?
Well, I remember going there one time when I was 3 years old in a horse and buggy.
Do you recall the first car your father owned?
Yeah, an old 26 Model T. And he bought it, and he paid $400 for it, and bought it out there. And the salesman put him in the old car and drove around in the sod field, around the house field. I'd teach him how to drive it. It wasn't much of a car. After I had it about 3 or 4 months, it never had no battery, and it was dead. Battery was dead, and rough going. It wasn't a decent automobile made until about 1935. V8 Ford had to come up with a V8, and they had a pretty good automobile then.
During the early days of the Great Depression, you said your father never lost a farm. Did he ever have financial problems that you
Oh
know
yeah,
of?
he had several. But he could always borrow a little money because he had a few cattle and he owned his own farm. He had 100 acre down across the field there from where he was born and raised.
Was there any time that you showed up to eat dinner and there just wasn't enough food?
There's always something. Always a piece of cornbread and gravy left over from breakfast.
What was your favorite meal your mother made?
Oh, probably dinner, I think. And we eat pretty good in the summertime because had we call it roasting eggs. We cooked corn, you know. I ate 3 or 4 ears of corn.
Did you ever have a big garden?
Yeah, they had usually always find a place to put a garden in.
How about electricity? When did your house get electricity?
They had a little kerosene lamp about this high, and you lighted it every night around 6:30 or 7, and go on in, and you usually go to bed early because you staying up, went on to stay up for. No TV, and
Did you have a radio?
there wasn't no radio. We didn't have a radio until about 1970. There wasn't no money for anything.
That was battery.
I don't know, there's a way of living and you stay healthy some kind of way.
Who was your best friend as a boy?
My best friend,
Yeah.
I had a cousin and he died about 20 years ago. Lived down in Culpeper County.
What was his name?
Clarence Settle.
What did you two boys do as young boys?
Well, I loved to play baseball. He didn't do anything but run after women. He tried to.
So you like playing baseball then?
Oh, I would rather play baseball than eat.
You good at it?
Well, I got by, stayed on the ball club.
How about school? Was school your thing?
Well, the only thing is, I lived in so much depression, and I just didn't wasn't interested in anything. I couldn't see working your heart out and getting nothing. Wasn't any jobs to go to. When I went to start to work, I got $15 a week, and of course I had to ride a road streetcar to work, and it cost $1.50 a week, $1.50 for that.
What time did you leave the countryside here and move to Washington, D.C.?
Oh, it puts my brain to work a little bit.
Was the war going on by that time?
Oh, yeah. The war was
41.
41. Well, it got started about a year after that. When the American troops first went into this war, it was in Africa, you know. And Eisenhower, that's where they got to know Eisenhower. And they went over and helped a little bit. But I just reading that book there. They went on over, they crossed over the Mediterranean Sea and went on up the coast, and then the Americans brought a bunch of troops across and stopped them before they got to the Belgium Border.
Now, before you went into the war as a soldier, you were a civilian, kind of young, but still
Yeah.
you were a civilian. What were you working at
Dad made me work on the farm.
on the farm?
Yeah, I was 16, 17, and plowed corn. You ever hear people talking about plowing corn?
Yeah.
So that's what we did. Yeah, everybody had a little pair of overalls on like you got. They get out down the field and plow corn with a mule or a wheel. You had 3 horses. And I like to do that, all right, but it didn't pay anything. End of the week coming, you didn't have anything.
Did you ever have to deal with any rationing of the journey?
Yeah, I had a little old motorcycle. I finally went to work, and a little old motorcycle. I couldn't get enough gas to ride that thing up and down the road.
Did you use ration stamps to buy the gas you had?
Yeah, and get what kind of stand in line, you get about a gallon and a half.
When the war had started on December 7th, 1941, do you recall that day and where you were?
Yes, I was working in Washington. I come up to the country here to see my mother and father, and I heard about December the 7th. And I heard about it when I got on the bus out of Amosville to go back into Washington.
What was your thoughts?
Well, I said, about the only thing I could say is kind of dangerous getting killed.
Did you have any idea that maybe you'd want to go?
Well, I really didn't want to go, but I'll tell you, my father, he wanted to get me deferred to work on the farm. And see, if you lived out on a farm, you can get a deferment and stay out of the war completely, because you raise food. And that's what I would have done, but we never had no money much, and I went to Washington to work and made $15 a week. And I had a 1936 V8 Ford. That was a very good little car, I think. And I sold that, and when I come up the country, I said, I don't need no car. Can't buy the gas, and they can't find nothing to buy it. So I sold that for $150.
Did you have any friends who immediately joined up to go to the military?
Not too many of them, no. A lot of them did. A lot of them did go in, but I wouldn't know what the ratio is. How much? I don't know how many would have wanted to go.
Well, you got deferred to work on a farm for a while, didn't you?
Well, but I left before it took effect.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
The war did not go for us well at the beginning.
Well, you see, I got deferred at Glenn Martin's, working in the aircraft factory. That was the first deferment I got. And then after 1 year over there, why, they told me there were one more deferments. And I didn't want to bother about not going anyhow, because you could walk down the street and somebody would think you had a draft dodger.
Did they ever say that to you? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were working at the aircraft factory, what did you do there?
Did some riveting. They called me a mechanic. I fitted parts all around through the fuselage. You know, if you fit them and you put clicos in them, and that holds them in place, and the riveters come along, rivet all that stuff in.
What type of airplane were you working with?
I worked on a PBM-3. It's a patrol boat. It is a flying boat. And I worked there about a year, and then it sent over to the B-26. And that claimed to be proved to be a good airplane for the last part of the war.
How long did you work on the B-26?
About a year on the B-26 and a year on the PBM-3.
Were you able to save up any money during this time?
I saved a little bit. I wanted to come home and play baseball in the summer, and I had $150 in my pocket.
Can you describe where you lived in Baltimore?
Yeah, Essex. You ever hear of Essex?
No, sir.
It's a suburb
Of Baltimore?
Baltimore.
Was it a house that you owned?
Yeah, the house, and they had a whole bunch of beds in the house, and they put we had about 12 beds in this one house, and they had little single beds, you know, all over the house. And I think I paid $3 a week to live there.
Well, you said you were drafted. It was pretty late into the war. I mean, you've been working at the aircraft factory for about 2 years, So we're getting into 1944, and you were drafted. Where did you receive your draft notice?
I kept it up in the Rappahannock country, in the Rappahannock. What I started to tell you, I kind of got, everybody else went and I fight the doggone war, I thought I might as well go too. And some people stayed there with it and as long as they could and stayed out of the war, but I ain't got no criticism of that because you go in that service, all you are is a number. You're my squad leader is a sergeant and platoon leader was a lieutenant and a jeep driver. See, we carried jeeps in these gliders. We carried, and that's where we got all the fighting stuff in when we crossed the Rhine River.
Do you recall the name of the number of your serial numbers?
You mean the glider number?
No, your serial number as a
Oh
soldier.
no, I don't remember that. I didn't try to. I should have took care. Could have wrote it down on a picture there, and it might be on some of those records.
As you when you got your draft notice, were you out here in the country when you received the letter?
Yeah.
Where did you have to report?
Well, to the courthouse in Rappahannock County.
Did anybody that showed up that day that you showed up? Did you know any of them?
I knew all.
Where did what did they make you do?
Well, when you got drafted, the first thing they did, they send you to some GI place, and they give you a thorough examination.
Where did they send you?
They send me to Richmond, and then the next time they give me the next examination was the same thing, only they just went through a little more thorough on, how well they're gonna make it.
And you're still in Richmond at this time?
Yeah, no, I come home and stayed a month and then went back. And I was married to my first wife then. And
When did you get married the first time?
oh, you're gonna embarrass me again. It
Was it during the war?
Seventh. It seemed like to me it was about 1971.
No,
1941.
She'll get it right.
I don't know. I think it was September, in September
I was married a year before after I went in the service.
40.
Okay. So you were leaving a wife behind.
Yeah.
Did you write her back and forth?
Well, when I was at Fort Meade, she come down there a little bit. When I was in Alabama, she come down there and stayed a little while.
Where did they send you first after you left Richmond?
They sent me over to another examining point over at Baltimore. And that's about all they do to you is run you down the hallway and you're carrying your underwear in your hand.
Were you physically fit at that time?
Yeah, they said so. One guy told me, one of my friends, he's dead now, he said, I told him I got hit in the head when I was a young boy and had a headache ever since. Send him back. Send him back and didn't take him.
But you were physically fit.
Well, yeah, I never went for a sick call. Let me tell you this is a little funny. Went a sick call one time while I was in the service. And the guy behind me in the line, and the old doctor, he was a captain, and he says, he looked up and looked at that guy, And that guy had been going on sick call for 2 or 3 years. And he's trying to get sent home, not take him, you know. And the old doctor raised up and said, "Get out of here, you old sorry thing!" I laughed about that yet.
You mentioned you went down to Fort McClellan, Alabama.
Yeah, spent 14 weeks down there.
What were you doing there?
Infantry basic.
Were you good at that?
Well, anybody can shoot a rifle if you got any sense.
Had you ever shot a rifle before?
Oh, yeah. I got a German rifle, and an American rifle, and a pistol, and everything down in the basement. I'll show you before you leave.
Did you get qualified as a marksman or anything?
Oh, they qualify. They don't pay no attention. They teach how to pick your old rifle up and load it, and how to take apart and keep it clean. That's about all they do to it. Anybody. Yeah.
At McClellan, did you know anybody in your platoon?
Well, the boys I went down there from Rappahannock, I knew.
They stayed together pretty much.
Well, one sad thing, he's a year younger than me, and they was going to send him to the Pacific. What is that, the last island that took over the Japs over there?
Okinawa,
No, it wasn't that.
Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima. And I got to Europe, and I had a little time, and I sat down and wrote him a letter. I remember his address. And his mother wrote back and told me he got killed as soon as he got over there. And I had a number that would send me to Japan, and I lived, and the other boy had a number that sent him. I sent me home. I got called up over in Europe, and because I was married, they sent me home quicker. You know what I mean? Because they wouldn't have to pay any, what do you call it?
Pay money to your wife.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you
I
thought.
got this old Parkinson, and sometimes I have a little trouble.
Tell me about how life was in an army camp at McClellan.
Well, you had to be there. It was very important that you be there, and they had bed checked and anything like that. And my way was my outfit, and boy, they reamed me out. I know I came home, my wife was living in Cumberland, Maryland, and I came home to see her one week, and the train was running 2 hours late, and she was 2 hours late getting back to the camp, and they threatened her court
Court-martial you?
martial, yeah.
Did you find that you ever got in trouble?
No, I was a pretty nice guy. I tell everybody it's all right. I think what you find.
Was there any officers or non-commissioned officers that you thought were tough on you?
Maybe a few, not many. I mean, they expect you to do. In other words, we used to go out and take a run around the block about 10 times before breakfast, and they expect you to do things like that and not be dragging along behind and all kind of stuff. See, I was in the 17th Airborne Division, and we used to. I used to do push-ups with one hand. One hand.
Did they assign you to the 17th Airborne Division before you
No, I
left?
joined the paratroops, and the Belgium Border was going on, and nobody was going to get deferred. Everybody get out of here. Send us all overseas. And I was on the way over to the Pacific, and when the war was ended, I was down at the Panama Canal, and they sent us up to Boston, and I never seen any more, never saw any more Army life.
I'd like to
I
ask,
did stay in the Army a year, you know, after the war was over.
how was, well, first of all, where did you get on the boat to go overseas?
New York,
Do you remember the name of that boat?
yeah, that's, not St. Mary, but
The Queen Mary?
Queen Mary. We had, I think it was 17,000 who crowded on that boat. And if a submarine, if a pack of submarines was caught, they'd arrange grease spots out of that ocean.
When you were going across the ocean, did you get seasick?
No, one day I didn't get very sick. One day I got kind of pretty soft stomach. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I saw waves 35 and 40 feet high. And I've heard of that, and I thought people were just trying to exaggerate. But I saw it. And it was one day of that. It was one day. And waves as high as, a whole lot high as that woods out there. And these little old boats, I don't know how they stayed out there. The Queen Mary, you know, was 110 foot long.
Did you go over on a big convoy or just by the Queen Mary by
It was
herself?
by itself. Queen Mary was by itself. They said they go by themselves because they could go run and get fast. You can keep up more speed and run the submarines. I don't know.
Was there any submarine scare?
No, never heard a thing.
You settled into England. That's where you landed, England?
Yeah,
How long did you stay in England?
about 2 days. And they had someone right on over the front lines.
Was that winter time by that time?
It was in the spring about, it was about, I think it's January.
The food on the Queen Mary, was it okay for you?
It was all right. It had plenty of it. And some of those old GIs, they were about half crazy. And they used to get it all together and shove it and give it a push. and the tables were set crossways in the mess hall, you know. And they'd take all the food and put it in a pile and give it a shove and let it go down across the room and spat all over the place. It's worse than any hog pen you ever seen in your life.
Now,
That was funny to them.
You had not been assigned yet to a specific battalion yet.
You don't get that done until you get over there.
When you landed in France, where did you land in France? Do you remember?
It's down below Omaha Beach.
Down at Omaha Beach.
Yeah, it's below there somewhere. You see, if you didn't go into there, you'd have to go in. When they moved troops, they used to put some here, some there, and some here and everywhere.
But you came in on a beach. You didn't come in at a big dock or a city.
They unloaded us. If I can't remember the town in England, but they unloaded us up there and took us, put us on the boat and carried us to southern England, and then put us back on another boat and took us right on over in France.
Now, had you trained to be airborne infantry at this time?
No, I hadn't. I'd have the same training, but I hadn't had any airborne training. No, I could have gotten my airborne training, but my captain, I think he told me right. He said, "You got a family, and you need to go on home." And he said, "If I was you, I wouldn't mess around and break a leg or something and hurt yourself." And I thought it made sense because the war was over, and all I was doing was, they let us out on points. If you had as much as 60 or 65 points, you could come out on home. I only had about 37 because you don't get any points for these. You know what I'm talking about.
You hadn't been in very long.
No,
Can
no,
you,
I only hadn't been in long enough to have about 37 points, and so that kept me in there another year. They wouldn't turn you loose. They don't care if you tell them you had a job or what. They still wouldn't turn you loose.
as you got toward the front line, had you seen any casualties alongside the road? Any dead Germans?
No.
Or?
I never saw it. The Belgium Border were soon be over, and I never seen a whole lot of that. I didn't see too much of that, no. But we were roamed around through. We used to take walks and everything. We were down in that Brenner Pass, where you go to Italy from.
Yeah.
We used to go down there, and I bought a rifle back from there, German rifle.
Did you come face to face with any of the enemy?
Yeah, towards the last, the German people, they got some sense and not like some of these old things over here running around with a bomb in their hand. If you were fighting a German and he knew that you were gonna lick him, and he never had a chance, he does that right quick. And I've seen it come up a road with 2,000 or 3,000 prisoners walking. Bring them in, you know, when they knew the war was over about a month before it was over in Europe, why, it was just all over. They knew it.
What type of weapons did you use where you were stationed?
And anti-tank gun and all the rest of them in the squad carried an M1 rifle.
You had an anti-tank gun.
No, I had a M1 rifle.
What was your job within the squad?
I think they called me a second gunner. The first guy got killed. Sent me in as a second gunner.
Did you come into combat with the Germans?
Yes, a few times, but you know we could shoot 2 or 3 miles with that gun, and it's on a line. And if you stay clear, I know I was peeping over a great big pile of sand where they'd been working on a road one day, and I was shooting over at some of these Germans, and all at once I heard, and 2 bullets went right by my head. And I said to myself, I don't have to be into that. So I just called down off the sand pile and went on back by the way somewhere.
Did you shoot your anti-tank gun at any tank?
Yeah. I was either with them. See, each man had 2 or 3 men with him all the time. And we shot at quite a few tanks, but most of the time somebody get them maybe before we get them.
Were you able to see the tank as it was being shot?
Yeah.
When you talk about anti-tank gun, was this something somebody carried, or was it on a?
It weighed a ton and a half. It was on 2 big wheels. It's like to you would think it's artillery, but it's not artillery. It shoots a shell about this long and a 57 millimeter in the core and in the shell. And when you fire that thing, the bullet went, if you were shooting about 1.5 miles, it'd go just like that. You could stand behind and see that thing go across the hill.
Was it towed?
Yeah, we carried a Jeep, see? That's one thing a glider could do. A glider could carry a Jeep to pull these heavy equipment around.
Did you ever get in a glider and get dropped?
Oh yeah, it was some training. As soon as we got over there, next morning we had that training. They tell you how to sit and how to do everything. The most important thing is when you ride a glider, jump out of that darn thing and get in the fence corner somewhere. When you land in the field,
Yeah.
we lost three good men, and that's what they did. They didn't get out of the glider and get hit, hide themselves.
Were you in Operation Varsity?
Mhm.
Does that come into mind to you?
The name don't come around. What our job was to do is to go over the Rhine River and get rid of all the Germans, and then when the big army come along, they just go march right across the field.
When you made your combat jump, can you describe that day for me? What happened to you?
Well, we got on got in a glider back in near Paris. We would travel 500 miles, and we sat around and talked, and they smoked cigarettes, of course, and fool messed around, and then about 11 o'clock they loaded up and took off, and it took about 5 miles to get that thing up on the ground, because those little C-47 that wouldn't pull but two gliders, and they take off down the field for 5 miles, and there's a lot of level land. You no mountains much in Paris. I mean in France. And it took over. And if it got up there, we traveled about 140 miles an hour all the way over across the Rhine. And after we got across the Rhine, we looked down and find a field that we thought was no Germans, and we dived right into it right quick.
Could you see out the window during this
Oh
operation?
yeah. In fact, we had the windows open. We just looking out.
As your glider came down, were you getting scared?
No, indeed. We rode them before and knew they were safe. They were safe. The only thing is they didn't have any shooting power. We didn't have nothing to shoot with except what we carried on our shoulder.
Did the anti-tank gun, was it in the same glider as you were?
No, one glider carried a jeep to pull the gun, and the other glider carried a gun and a little bit of ammunition. I was in a load of ammunition, ton and a half of ammunition. And if a shell went through the middle of that, we wouldn't be here today.
When your glider was flying over the Rhine, was there anti-aircraft firing
Yeah,
shooting at yours?
you could hear them shells going off, rope, and most of the time you feel the old glider kick over right to the left or right. If you're close enough, well, they brought you down.
Did it hit your glider at all?
I don't really know. So somebody's always telling something, but I think some of the boys said it had 2 or 3 holes. I don't know where it is now. I never did go back to look.
As you hit the ground, what was the first thing you did?
Everybody jumped out, and I was the last one out of the glider. Everybody jumped out and run for the fence rows. If you could run to a fence row and it had a stone wall about that high and then a rail on top of it, you get down below that stone wall, you're pretty safe. That's the way it was right in my outfit, where we went in. But the Germans, they have good land over there. They raise a lot of food, and they'll clean those bushes up and cut the weed, everything, grow good food right up to the back door.
You made it to the wall.
Oh yeah, it didn't get too close to me. I didn't think it did anyhow.
You had an M1 on your shoulder at this time. Did you? What did you do then? I mean,
Well, I just kept my rifle. See, we had a spade to dig a foxhole with, and a hoe, and something else, whatever they give you, and I just we just got together and the sergeant said follow me, and we went down there and they told him where to dig in and set his gun up so he'd have a playing field here, so as much spread it out so he could cover the field, with that big gun.
Had you seen combat before this jump?
No,
So this is the big thing for you.
it was.
How was that first night for you?
I was scared as crazy. But it's a big old gun about as far as 12 feet from us. And there's some bushes and stuff in that fence row, and we couldn't see what's on the other side of there. And they were firing all night long. I mean, occasionally. And after they fired about those two tanks, we had an American tank, and we protected tanks, and we also protected them. And we had an American tank. It was about 12 feet low, and German, and that German shot at him, and he shot the American tank and missed him, and this poor boy in the American tank scared so bad he missed him too. It was funny. He threaded a needle with a daggone little 57 millimeter, and missed him. Darn tank was about 30 feet away.
Was there any time that you fired your rifle in anger?
Oh yeah, we shot back. I didn't see a whole lot of it, but we shot just like I tell you. I could have got killed that one night, and just messing around and taking a pot shot at them, and they evidently saw me and knew me, or they knew that I was peeping up over the sand pile.
Was there any time that you shot that you knew you got somebody else?
Well, I'll put it this way. I should have got him. I don't know why I missed him. No time did I shoot a man, shoot at a man, or shoot at a man, or shoot at a man. It take him prisoner. That's one thing our sergeant used to do. He said, I don't want to see nobody, just killing people over here for nothing. If you can take them prisoner, get them, by all means, take them prisoner.
Tell me about your sergeant. What was his name? If you recall.
Yeah, he was from school down in West Virginia. What's the name of it? State school. Jenny?
I don't know.
No,
Well, anyhow, he spent 5 years. He was in there 5 years. He come out on home. He had a lot of points.
That wasn't Miley, was it?
No,
That was Major General.
Who was your favorite friend in the military? Did you
well,
make
that
any friends?
little boy got killed. He lived right. My bed was right beside his, and it just seemed like it wasn't for him to be killed. Like he's only 18 years old, and I was 21, and I thought it was such a shame.
And where did he get killed?
Yeah. What did I tell you fellas?
In Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima. That's where he got killed.
You made any friends when you were in Europe with the squad you were there with?
No. Oh, I made some, but I didn't keep a mail up, and I don't know hardly any of them. I could, if they could walk up and meet me in the street, they'd tell me who he was. I'd know exactly. But other than that, I wouldn't know.
By the time Operation Varsity goes off and you make your airdrop, we're almost done with the war. Did you advance further into Germany?
Oh yes, we had to travel about 500 miles in Germany with a big circle and try to globe and get the guys together and take them prison.
Did you get any more close close calls with your life?
Well, occasionally, but not too close. I tell you what you got to do if you want to live during these wars. Don't be volunteering for that. Just if you got to go over there and run some man out of the bushes, wait till you get some help, and don't try to go over and do it yourself.
Was there anything that happened in combat that was just funny looking?
Oh, I don't know. It wasn't very funny then, I'll tell you. Not too much, I think.
Did they pull any pranks or?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I took me and another boy took poured sand in his bed or something, and he got mad and he left you're mad at me, and I was sorry that would happen, but there's no joking around with some of those guys.
Was there a fair amount of gambling?
Well, not too much, not like it is now, but I mean they did have a little gambling, playing the numbers. That's what they called it over there.
Do you recall where you were when you heard the news the war was over in
Yeah,
Europe?
I was right down between Cuba and the United States.
You had already been sent home, or toward home at least.
I was sent to Iwo Jima. That's where I was headed, but the end of it came, and so I didn't have to go. That's one thing I always give Harry Truman credit for. He is the man that said, "We're going to shoot that atomic bomb and quit the war."
You think Harry Truman then did the right thing?
Yeah, but then he saved millions of lives. A Jap is a hard man to fight. He'll fight till he dies, and he'll give his life for his. And if you fight the man out here in the woods, and he'll hold up to the last and fight till he dies, it's most likely going to take 5 times as many people to kill him.
When you were in Europe and the war was over in Europe, did you see any of the concentration camps they talk about?
No, I never seen them. I just heard they were over there, but I never seen them.
What was the attitude of the Germans toward Americans when you were
Well,
there?
it wasn't too bad. They were pretty good people. They try to beat you, and they try to win the war, but all at the same time they wouldn't. In other words, if they thought they could kill you and run the bushes, maybe they'd done. Most of them wouldn't done it. They just like you and I over here. No use take a man's life for nothing.
Did you ever see any hardcore Nazis?
Yeah, saw a few of them. And saw the signs where they had signs up and all that stuff. Other than that, I didn't know a whole lot much about them. But German people, I got a whole lot to say for the old French. The French lost the war in about 2 weeks, and they went on home. And I'm talking about World War II. And the Germans put up a terrible fight, I tell you.
Did you ever see any Russians?
Yeah, I used to stand around Port Guard and bump into them lots of times. But they are Russian. The type of government they got over there, they don't. It's not like there's not a lot of freedom in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all they got is, most of the time they come in the war, they bring a woman with them. Instead of getting married, they just bring a woman along with them. That's the way we were there.
Did you see any entertainment after the war was over or during the war? USO
No.
or anything?
Time or two we saw a little something, not much. think if I'd have stayed over in Germany after the war was over, I probably would have seen quite a bit. But well, other than that, well, no.
You came back home after you were released, 1946. The war's over almost a year.
Yeah.
Did your wife meet you anywhere?
No, I told her to stay in Cumberland, Maryland. She'd stay in her home, and I'd come right on up there, and it got to be closer to home. If the further you go, more they pay you, better train ticket they give you.
Was she glad to see you when you came home?
She could convince me she did.
As you look back at your military experience, do you think it taught you anything?
Yeah, I can't see all this building going on, and I can't see the way they're spending money, and I don't know where you can't make a statement on it, something like that unless you're in the thick of it, and but I don't see how these people buying $500,000 homes are going to pay for them. Somebody's going to pay that bill. Nobody's giving them houses away. And we got all up through the country where I live. We got poor people buying $600,000 and $700,000 homes.
I see you're wearing your World War II memorial shirt.
Yeah. And you know, it's been the draw for 2 or 3 years, and 2 or 3 years ago, 2 or 3 days ago, he said he's coming over, and I had it on. I said, I'll just leave it on.
This memorial that was built took a long time. It's almost 60 years.
Sitting like wall.
Have you been to it?
Yeah.
Do you think it was?
You got like Virginia, and the date is coming to the Union or something. Then you move on around. And it's a big circle, and got I think about. Well, you know what it got. It took more for each state.
It took 60 years to have a memorial built to the war that you served for.
I think the people that I was in the service with didn't regard something like that as a whole lot of, you know, in favor. It was costing money, and they didn't want to spend the money, right? I don't know.
Did you talk much about the war?
Well, when it ended?
No, since then.
Oh. No, you're the only one that ever come around and ask me anything about it. And I enjoyed talking to people about it because I can just tell you about the part that I've seen of it. But I think the Civil War was a horrible war. My gracious life. I've read a lot of that stuff and the things that they did, and I don't know.
How would you compare your war with the war we're fighting now?
Well, Civil War was some parts of it was bad, some parts of it was good. They used to take some people out there and shoot them and hang them and all that stuff just because they got mad at them, and then it's same. I read where some of them, the Yankees would come down from the north and come up and knock on the door and ask them could they go to bed, and put them to bed at night time.
You didn't see that in Germany, honey.
Oh no, not in Germany. I just mean in the Civil War.
Well, thank you for your interview today. One other question. You mentioned you're called B. Did they call you that during World War II also?
The people that know me always call me B, but people when I went to high school and everything. They call me Robert.
Robbie,
Robert.
Robbie. Put this one. Take your picture with that on.
There you go. There's your World War II hat.
Yeah, I don't have.
Put it on.
I think it's a Ruatan Club. No,
Neil's father got it for you. Put it on.
Well, thank you for your interview today, Mr. Settle.
I'm sorry I have stuttered carrying on, but since I got that Parkinson, when I get something fresh in my mind to say, I forget it's going to get out or something.
Well, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.